The year was 1999. The millennium was on the horizon, and we were preparing for the worst. But out of the darkness, a light shined. It was the Tribe. The Tribe was a joint project from New Zealand and the UK created by Raymond Thompson and Harry Duffin as a soap opera for teens and young adults. The show ran for 5 seasons, each season comprised of 52 episodes. And for all of you who hate math out there, that is 1 episode a week for 5 years. Now the main reason I'm doing a retrospective of this show is because unfortunately in the US, this show only had a cult following, and not many people actually got to see it. So I'm going to try and show you exactly what you missed without revealing too many spoilers. So dust off your Y2K compliant PC and get ready to party like it's 1999. The basic premise is that a virus has wiped out all of the adults, so the world has been taken over by tribes of children and teens. More specifically, the show follows the exploits of the Mallrats, a tribe that we get to see from its inception until the end of the show. At the core of the show is a great cast that we truly get to grow with. And for the most part, each character is given ample time to shine, and have their own development throughout each season, with each season adding and subtracting characters to either great or little effect. It's hard keeping up with all of the characters because of just how many there are, but the main ones to be concerned with that are recurring characters through at least 1 or 2 seasons are Amber, the natural-born leader, Dal, the quick-thinking dreamer, Bray, the pretty boy hero that all the ladies swoon over, Lex, the scheming bad boy, Jay, the pragmatist general with a soft side, Trudy, the somewhat needy teenage mother, Tai-San, the mystic, Celine, the soft-spoken, Jack, the self-proclaimed scientist, Ellie, Jack's strong-willed and altruistic partner, Ebony, the cunning lioness, and Pride, the wild man who fights for justice. Each season has its own antagonistic group, or villain. The first season has Zoot, Ebony, and the Locos, which are a group of anarchists who want nothing more than power and chaos to keep the city under their thumb. Season 2 and 3 has the Chosen, led by the Guardian, a wild-eyed madman who has deified Zoot after his death. And lastly, Season 4 and 5 has the Technos, with Ram, a computer genius with a taste for sadism in Season 4, and Mega, the emotionless usurper who overthrows Ram and seizes the city for himself in Season 5. While each season does have a central conflict, usually revolving around one of the antagonistic groups, one of the best things about this show is just how many topics this show covers. From alcoholism to teen pregnancy to bulimia, first love, first sexual encounter, homosexuality, and so much more. But what is even better is that it tackles them with enough tact that for the most part it doesn't feel like you're being preached to, and it doesn't feel heavy-handed. You feel like these are real struggles that teens would go through, and the way that they would handle them in a world without any kind of parental guidance. Season 1 was easily my favorite, as it is the one that tackles most of the issues that come along with just plain survival in a hostile world. And it's the most effective at setting up what the Mallrats are all about. Its one major downfall, however, is that the actors haven't become comfortable in their roles yet, and you can tell that the crew is really trying to do their best, but Season 1 can come off feeling ridiculously hokey and cheesy. I hope you like the Dream Must Stay Alive, the opening theme to the show, because it's pretty much on continuous loop in the background of every first season episode. Season 2 is good enough on its own, as it deals more in depth with the virus and trying to bring order to this new chaotic world. Meanwhile, there is the subtle threat of the Chosen looming over the city, culminating in an epic showdown between the Mallrats and the Chosen. But you better enjoy that subtlety while it lasts, because then there's Season 3. In my opinion, Season 3 is the weakest of the 5 seasons, because they kind of just blow their load and have the Chosen take over, and the story progresses at a snail's pace. Yeah, there's some fairly decent character development, but for the most part, Not a whole lot happens this season. It just starts to get bogged down by the Chosen and their weird cult-like rituals. The Chosen just worked better as this mysterious force of people that everyone knew very little about, and they offered a good sense of dread because you didn't know what they were doing behind the scenes. Unfortunately, Season 3 just kinda lays them bare, and all you do is just sit and wait for the rest of the Mallrats to oust them. Season 4, the first of the Technos storyline, fares a little bit better, but still has some faults. My main problem with this season is that the computerized / futuristic vibe just doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the show. They do explain something to the effect that Ram's father was heading up a special weapons project, and that's how Ram was able to obtain the weapons and technology, but still, it all seems kind of abrupt and changes the landscape of the show dramatically. This season balances just enough intrigue and just enough slow build that it makes it a much more tolerable and likable season, though. It does start to sag as far as storyline in some places, but nowhere near the level of Season 3. Finally, the last season is where the show picks back up and begins to resemble its former glory. This is the season in which Mega takes over the city after overthrowing Ram. Mega is probably one of my favorite villains, simply for the fact that he genuinely doesn't come across as villainous, and uses a lot more guile to take over the city. His overall plan is to scare the people into thinking that he will protect them. Basically, if he creates enough chaos behind the scenes, people will come to him to help restore order, and it genuinely works, as I believe it would in real life. We get to see the characters grow and connect in ways that we didn't see in former seasons. For instance, Ebony gets much closer to her sisters, Java and Siva, who play minor roles in Season 4 and 5. They've all changed and matured, and it's nice to see how far they've come. The way the season ends is bittersweet because it is the last season and ends on a sad note, but at the same time, the idea behind it is probably one of the best of any prior seasons. I won't spoil it for you, but I will say it's got a HAL 9000 feel to it. The show has a definite style. It's like Mad Max meets Final Fantasy meets the 90s, and each character brings their own unique style to the fold. The setting feels wide and expansive, but at the same time very glum, which adds a lot of atmosphere and helps the setting of the mall to stand out, as it seems like a place of light and comfort. The thing that I think makes this show special is the target audience. You just don't see shows with such a great and original premise targeted towards young adults that strikes such a good balance with the topics that they cover. The show is your typical soap opera with intertwining relationships and drama, but the setting, the characters, the story make it so much more than that. Season 1 of the show is available on DVD in the US, however Seasons 2 through 5 are only available by import, meaning you have to have a region-free DVD player in order to watch them. Of course, there is other online alternatives you can use, so I would recommend trying to find it online if you don't want to deal with the hassle of importing. Finally, I'd like to mention that the show was cut mainly because the creators believed that the cast was much too old to keep the original feel they were going for. And they did have a follow-up series called The New Tomorrow, which had a lot of its basis in the mostly completed Season 6, but it really just isn't the same without the characters that you grew to love and enjoy throughout the 5-year run of the show. But much like the idea of the show, there's always a light that shines through the darkness. In 2012, Raymond Thompson, the show's co-creator, announced that a Tribe film was in early stages of production, with a possible release date of late 2014. So keep the dream alive and hold fast to the hope that we will see another adventure from the Mallrats. Neighborhood Friendly Ranter, signing out.